Welcome, it's Geographically Challenged episode number 67. It's the Asia RMR preview episode. I missed the memo on the Hat Club. We've just been bullying Blair about his new chair. Not new chair. I mean, he needs a new chair, is basically what I'm saying.
There you go.
I'll have that. Yeah, we could have set this up. It would have been cool. I could have pulled a hat out. Anyway, Blair, please buy a new chair. Everyone at home, please donate to Blair. He needs to buy a new chair. He's poor. Look at this guy. Can't afford a new chair. He's been using it for 10 years, he just said. So, Asia RMR.
Listen, man. Like when you have a chair for a while, it has a perfect like butt curvature. You know what I mean? My butt fits so perfectly.
It makes a lot of sense though. Like Blair's a CS enthusiast. Cunt's been playing the same game for 15 years, sitting on the same chair for 10 years. Like, you know, he's just once he finds something he likes, he sticks to it, and that's why I've seen him do so many hard drugs. But you know, that's another story.
Yeah, same.
All right. Yep.
Same haircut for 10 years.
I've never seen him do any hard drugs, just for the record. But anyway,
just
I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, I haven't cut my hair in like 18 years, 16 years. There you go.
Jesus Christ. All right, let's talk about something more interesting. Counter-Strike. We've got the graphic. You guys know how this works. You've been here before. This is pretty much what we do every time there's an Asia RMR coming up, and people have been asking, who do you think is going to win the Asia RMR? Give us your predictions. Asia RMR, blah, 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 this and that. Now's the time. I actually watched, who was it? It was King T, Yumi, and Tea Time. They did a Asia RMR episode, so I want to give that a shout out quickly. You can go watch that one as well. Maybe I'll put a link down below. Just because, you know, it's kind of nice to see other people talking about Asia for once. That's like maybe the first time that's happened in like 3 years to any degree of relevance, I feel like. So we'll take it as a dub. Good job, guys. Now, let's go left to right. I asked Pilski, should we have this in any specific order, or should we do it random? He said random. So then I just went like this, and that's now the order that we're going to do it in. So let's start off with GR Gaming, the Eastern Russian team, the team that took down Atox, the team that won the, was it the East Asia qualifier? Yes. What do we think about GR Gaming? Oh, by the way, can you read the categories, or do you need me to read them out for you?
Yeah, it's not very clear for me.
Okay, so we've got 2-0 Giga Chads. That's the teams that go through the upper bracket. Lower bracket qual, that's one team. So those are the 3 teams that we expect to qual. Might be good, will not impress, and 0-2 suckers, which is going to be the team that goes 0 and 2.
I would just off the get-go put GR in will not impress.
Will not impress. You don't.
It's kind of like halfway between will not impress and might be good. Mainly, I don't know, man. Like just looking at, sure, they beat like I think it was Atox and all the the other Mongolian teams to make it to the RMR. Did they make it last time as well?
Yeah, I did not make it last time.
Did not make it last time, right? I just don't. It's just a very unknown quantity. They played online, and of all the teams and the players that I know here, I just feel like they are a big question mark, but a question mark kind of trending downwards, right? It's not like I'm not expecting much coming out from them. I think it's going to be the first time we're going to be seeing them on at least an international LAN as well. These players are pretty much completely unknown. You're going to be going up against even like, teams, underdog teams, I guess you can say, teams I'm not expecting much from, like an Alter Ego, for example. I think are going to have a very comfortable time against them. Even if you look at Drillas, for example, you have known players there who have played at some pretty high levels, so to speak. And these are some of the, well, on paper, the weaker teams who should not be making it out of the RMRs. And even against them, I doubt they're going to really have a chance here. So, yeah, I think I've convinced myself for them to go 0-2 suckers.
Okay, there you go. Well, I was actually gonna sort of quiz you on that one because
yeah.
I don't know, like obviously Pilski, we watch ESL Challenge League, I imagine quite a bit more than Blair does, just because we cast it. And we do get to see GR Gaming a little bit in ESL Challenge League, and they've been kicking around for a while. One thing that I do respect about this team, even if I kind of do agree with you, Blair, that they probably will be in 0-2 suckers, is that they have, I think, gone about this the right way. Like, there's no question that this is a team that deserves to be at the Asia RMR. We can talk about Drillas when we get to Drillas, and I think there's a lot to sort of say there. But when it comes to GR Gaming, this is not just a random bunch of Europeans coming in. A lot of people are going to look at this and go, why is there a team full of Russians playing in the Asia RMR? Well, they play in Eastern Russia, so they can't really play in Europe from that region. They have to play in Asia, and they have been playing in Asia. That's what I respect about it, is that they have been playing in Asia for the better part of like, I think they've been around for like 2-3 years as a core roster. You know, so they've been playing, grinding through ESL Challenger League, and they have been getting better and better and better. And now they're actually kind of like sort of safely making it into the playoffs of ESL Challenger League. So they are improving, and they are, you know, investing into the region as much as anybody else. So I think they definitely deserve to be there. I respect that, and I want to give them the props for that. But unfortunately, with all of what you're saying as well, Bleh, they're not a team that we've necessarily seen on an international LAN stage before. I don't think I've ever seen them at a LAN. Maybe there are some that they've played locally, I don't know, but not even to an Asia domestic LAN or anything of that level. You know, I think this is going to be a real big step up for them, which, you know, every team goes through that. Every team has to kind of go through that step ladder and eventually get to the point where they are now a seasoned LAN team. But because this is kind of like their first outing at what I would consider to be a decent level international event, I don't have a huge amount of hope, unfortunately, for GR.
It's also the fact that one of the players is called mediocrity.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just putting it out there.
Story just writes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like me calling myself Bleh, you know, it doesn't really give you a lot of faith.
I think, yeah, they should be 0-2, but I think with the bracket draw that they've got, they actually could win a game. They got Rare Atom, and then if they lose to Rare Atom in a BO1, which like they could definitely take a BO1 over Rare Atom, then they'll play Talon. So they have the easiest drawing out of everyone in the entire tournament, which means they could actually make it further than expected and not 0-2. They actually have a reasonable chance not to 0-2.
Well,
yeah,
what I'd say is that we will do the bracket as well. So
okay.
Take this as more of a thinking exercise, and then we play out the bracket
thinking exercise
afterwards.
0-2. They just like, I don't like the way that they've been able to qualify. They beat ATOX in a BO1 in OT. They beat Chingiz Warriors in like a 13-11, like very, very close game. And then they beat ATOX in a very, very close series. So look, to be fair, if you beat ATOX in a big O3, and that was the old ATOX with their decent core, that's pretty well done. But I think it was a bit of a like favorable run for them. Since then, they didn't make the top 4 in the LAN final over ESL Challenger League playoffs. They actually went down to an IHG roster that's like not even one of the best Mongolian teams. Then they played in Mesa recently, where they're beating both like the new Chingiz Warriors, which, you know, it's not the best team, to be honest, and that's an OT. Then they're kind of smashing IHG, which is like, you know, decent, but at the same time, IHG is playing with like a different player at the moment. So it's hard to say. I think they should be 0-2 at the end of the day. I have them probably as like the weakest team in the tournament, or one of the weakest teams in the tournament, because it's pretty, there's a few teams that like you haven't really seen. They've seen even less than from GR, which is surprising for 2 of them. But yeah, I think with their bracket draw, they could maybe make it further than 0-2. But if it was just like random, what's the strength of the team? Probably 0-2. I
mean, the fact of the matter is, it is best of ones for that opening match. So realistically speaking, we could say any team could avoid 0-2. Like, it's a very real possibility that any of those opening matches could be an upset. Even whatever the first one. Who's Mongolz playing? I don't know who Mongolz is playing.
Mongolz is playing. Who is it?
Alter Ego.
Alter Ego. So they're kind of cooked.
I mean, like, yeah, but it's a best of one. You know what I mean? Like, fucking who knows? Dobu comes down and cracks a couple of heads. Fucking whatever. And speaking of, we may as well just transition this into the conversation around Alter Ego. But my point is, the O1s, they probably shouldn't exist in this current format, especially with the fact that we don't have to play the upper bracket final, because the 2 teams from the upper bracket go through. They don't actually play the upper bracket final. So there's no world where, for example, we see, let's assume it's FlyQuest and Mongolz, which I think is everyone's going to be talking about. We don't get to see that match. That match does not exist if those 2 teams go through from the upper bracket. So I think that opening round match should at least be a best of 3. That way, if you do qual through the upper bracket, you have to at least play and win 2 best of 3s. In this current format, you could play a best of 1 into a best of 3, and that's it. You're in the major. Like, yeah, that's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy to me.
I have always hated like how many BO1s are in the major format. At the end of the day, like, it's a prestigious event that only happens once or twice a year. I don't know why we play BO1s, and I know there's arguments for like it makes things interesting or entertaining to watch, but I don't know. There's so many other tournaments that could do that, and I think at the major, like, BO1s have no place. And you've already seen the effects of that on the qualifier for this event. Like, I reckon if GR had to play BO3s through that East Asian qualifier against, well, they won a BO3 against ATOX, to be fair, but if they had to play BO3s against Chingiz Warriors and IHG all the way through that East Asia qualifier, I don't think they would have made it.
Yeah. Anyway, Alter Ego. For me, I would. I think I'd probably put them also in 0 and 2, 0-2 suckers without having looked in depth at the bracket, which we'll do again in a little bit. I don't have a huge amount of faith in this Alter Ego roster, even though I like it on paper as a concept. I think I don't know that I like it on paper as a concept. That's not fair. I like it on paper because it's kind of like nostalgia goggles, and you kind of get a bit of a hard on when you see some of those names in the server. But I just don't know that I see this team actually really going the distance, especially with the roster instability or whatever is going on there, like Dobu coming in. That's a big conversation point, I think, at the moment. I know a lot of people are going to hate me, at least, for putting Alter Ego as a 0 and 2 team. I know they have a lot of fans, and some of them are like the most vocal viewers of this show, so I feel bad for it. And maybe you guys can save Alter Ego by bumping him up. I don't know. But at least for me, Alter Ego, I haven't seen anything in in years from the core of this roster. Like Bentet, what has he done of relevance over the last 2 years? Freeman, what has he done of relevance over the last 2 years? Fucking Zine, unfortunately, same has to really be said. Like I want these guys to have a nice swan song end to their career. But outside of like maybe a top 4 at Extremesland earlier this year, Zine hasn't really done anything to impress. Then Dobu's coming across, and like he's kind of fucking cooked the Atox roster a little bit by not playing ESL Challenger with them, so they don't get to qualify for ESL Pro League. I just don't know what the hell's going on with Alter Ego right now. I mean, I think it's fun. I think they're a cool team. Like, they could come in and they could win a best of one, yes, but I don't have a huge amount of faith that they're going to be able to do too much, unfortunately. And I also think that whole Dobu situation is kind of whack, in my opinion. But anyway, go on, guys.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. I think it covered all the bases. I think this is their swan song, right? Like, making the RMR here might be the highest peak for the majority of the players they're going to get for the remainder of their careers. In all honesty, looking at how the circuit's going to be changing, switching up next year, looking at the results they've had so far this year, I don't think we're going to be seeing them in much as relevant a LAN like this going down the line, unless they, maybe break up and join certain other teams, international Asian teams, which I doubt is going to happen either. And on top of that, I look at the other teams remaining, man, and I'm looking at FlyQuest, I'm looking at Talon, I'm looking at even the Drillas and, the Chinese guys and the Mongolz, and I can't pick any of these guys over Alter Ego to put on 0 and 2. It just doesn't make any sense for me. So I think this is going to happen. I think it's going to be Alter Ego and GR 0 and 2, and I'd be very, very surprised if that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they had the easiest qualifier to run through as well. They literally only had to beat God's Reign to make it to the major, which is crazy to me, especially because God's Reign did not look particularly good in that period. It wasn't even the God's Reign that was in form, where you kind of like look at them and like, oh yeah, these guys are all right. They're actually playing pretty badly. So they basically just showed up. They connected to the server and qualified for the major. And when you've got Mongolz as your first round matchup, I mean, there's just no hope. Honestly, I don't have them beating pretty much anyone, and they have the rough side of the bracket as well. So,
and even with the best one caveat, it's the Mongolz.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they're not going to beat Mongolz in BO1, and then they go into the lower bracket and they play Lynn Vision or Drillas. It's GG boys. They're getting O2'd every day of the week.
Do we have them slightly higher than GR, just in terms of like a mental power ranking, if we're to consider that?
If we're going by like experience and like playing on LAN, I would have them higher. If we're going by the bracket, they will get O2'd every time. Like it's right. At the end of the day, GR has a better chance of making it deeper into the major because of the bracket draw that they have. Alter Ego is cooked every time.
Yeah, I agree. I'll leave them just above GR for me personally. I think they're just maybe slightly more impressive, I guess. Like they have that little bit of a legacy, I guess, which GR does not have, so we'll give them that. But that's 7th versus 8th in terms of a power ranking. So BO Talon it's an interesting one for me. For me, they're obviously between might be good or will not impress. I think I want to put them in might be good. Like I don't know that you can say they definitely won't impress. I think Talon's a team that at an Asia RMR probably can actually do a bit of damage. What we've seen from them playing in Europe has not necessarily looked super
it's
impressive.
Looked pretty fucking rough. Yeah.
But you got to remember that they're going to be dropping down a bit of a level to play against like probably anyone outside of FlyQuest and Mongolz is not going to perform any better than they will at a European level. So I mean, maybe Drillas, I guess, but that's a conversation point in itself. I think it's hard to gauge really where Talon's going to sit because we haven't seen them against this like level competition. If you get my meaning, so I think I'm happy to put them in. Might be good personally. I think they've got pretty good pieces.
So you want to be nice?
Well, I mean they have MHL, who I think is probably going to be able to farm a little bit here in the Asia RMR. For me, you've kind of pulled the better pieces of the second best A and Z teams, being obviously Hazard, Addict, and Netic. So Vertex, when we got to see them play at the Paris RMR, they didn't really impress. But to be fair, they also didn't... I didn't think they got the fairest of goes necessarily. First of all, because the whole RMR thing there was kind of cooked, so that didn't help. But Malta got sick. They played, I think, all of their matches without Malta. And then they played one of their matches, the BO1 against Rare Atom, over 2 days because they played like 2 or 3 rounds and then it got cancelled and then they played the rest out. So just like I don't think you can really take much from that result. So I don't know. I'm trying to think if it was Vertex or if it was Rooster, would I put them in might be good? I think if I don't know. I think maybe. Am I being biased here? Am I coping?
Yeah, I think so. I think Talon. If we're going by like relative power level, they have been like boot camping in Europe this whole time. Like they haven't been in Oz very much. They've been playing from Malta and boot camping against like good competition.
That's it, though. That's the thing. Like
so, like
that's almost every team here, by the way.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would lean more towards will not impress than might be good. They have a favorable bracket draw though, so they could go deeper in the tournament than expected. A BO1 against FlyQuest is probably not winnable, especially with the domestic like edge that FlyQuest has over all of these teams. I don't know if Talon's going to have the mental to like upset that matchup, but it's possible, I guess, in like a dream scenario, but it's pretty unlikely. Then they got to play Rare Atom or GR. Like, I think that they could probably win that BO3, but I'd probably have them going out in lower semis. So I'd say will not impress, to be honest, because I think they're going to fall at least one BO3 short of qualifying.
Deciding vote, Bleh.
Will not impress because contextually, you got to remember why this team was built, right? Like this team, they built this team to, at the very minimum, make it out of the Asian RMR, qualify for the major. And we had this entire discussion, if you remember, like not beginning of the year, but I think like April, May, wherever, when we're touching about how as soon as the team forms, they need to start, qualifying for the RMR and all of that. They've managed to do so, right? They've got these pieces that managed to do so. We had a few questions about, who's going to be the opera, who's going to be the 5th player and all of that. They got it sorted out, but I'm just looking at the results and just a lack of experience as a team. Sure, you have players like, like Azza and some veterans in that team, but just as a whole team, they haven't really had that pressure on. And you're going up against a bunch of teams who, while, on paper might not be the best. I'm looking at Lynn Visions, I'm looking at your Drillas and Rare Atoms. I feel like I've seen more from them, and I think they have a higher peak than we have seen from Alter Ego so far. So yeah, sure, bootcamp's great, and all those online results, I can't really read too much into them, right? They're obviously just trying to get some reps in, but I would have to be a little bit more negative. I'd be very happy to be pleasantly surprised to see them qualify, but that's the thing. I would be surprised.
Yeah, I think my big issue is just like that all of the Aussie players are like way too inconsistent. Like they all just up and down every other map. Like you're never going to have a consistent pace of firepower. Like even Netic, I think, has been slightly up and down in this Talon roster, although he's still been pretty good. They have good coach as well, which definitely helps. So they should have good preparation and be boot camping in Europe and stuff like that before this event. But yeah, I just feel like from watching them, I haven't seen like the level that I wanted to see from them to be like super confident about them going into this RMR. And maybe they haven't had enough time, but I don't know. There's been a couple of really hard carry games from MHL, but I feel like literally every other player in the roster has been like one decent game and then one game where they're like not doing anything. And so it feels like the individual players are not like finding their form. Whereas at least in like some of the Chinese teams, for example, I feel like I've seen them have good games. Like I've seen the guys on Lynn Vision, I've seen the guys on Rare Atom have some pretty good games. Whereas like I feel like I watch Talon and it's like they're going missing every other map.
Out of interest, if it had been Rooster that would have qualified here, would you have had a better feeling for Rooster?
Current Rooster?
Yeah, current Rooster, because that's the team that they have.
No.
So you would actually consider current Rooster to be even
Same.
more weak than Talon, or
I'd say same.
Kind of like same. Yeah,
I'd say
I'd go with
same.
that.
They're like, I feel like a lot of these teams are like the same right now. They're not really, they're differentiating themselves from like the team, the way they're building the teams and the approach, but they're not really differentiating themselves in terms of their level. Like
Right.
Rooster, I feel like they have their very like specific identity and some chemistry still there to where like they're decent enough. And I feel like a BO3 between Rooster and Talon would be like a coin flip most times.
Fair enough. All right, then Drillas, which is obviously a big discussion point at the moment because of the changes that they have made to their roster. Scenario coming in, he's a substitute. Just anyone that hasn't quite caught up with this, Armsalam, who is one of the Israeli players and therefore was one of the core Asia players, is no longer competing with Drillas. He's taken a step away from the roster, not because of any reason aside from we just want to change the team. And now Scenario comes in. So there's been, I guess, a little bit of blowback in regards to that because this is now technically a 3-core European roster. Technically 3, realistically probably 4 if we count the Moroccan French shenanigans that's going on as well. Where let's be real, it probably is just now a European team that's competing in the Asia RMR.
Have we not touched upon this in the previous episode? I don't think we have,
because
right?
it happened after the last episode.
Yeah,
so I just want to get your guys' take on that as well. Like,
I did like I publicly tweeted about this. I was not a big fan of it. Now, I don't blame the team because it's allowed in the rules, right? But the rule set was not really well thought out when they were doing this. So, according to rule set, your 6th player, your sub can be from basically any other region. Doesn't really matter. And I think it's a massive loophole. I think it's a massive fucking loophole. Imagine Vitality, right? They could just play with the firepower they have, with the skill set they have. They could fucking keep Spinks, they can have Flames, and replace Mezzi with fucking Bentet for a fucking qualifier, win it, and then Bentet's like, oh guys, I don't feel so good. Mezzi comes back, boom, Vitality's playing the fucking Asian RMR. That's such a big loophole in the system, and I'm absolutely shocked that this wasn't really considered by Valve, because they're the ones who made the rules here, but weren't considered by Valve, and also the fact that maybe the TOs could have potentially seen this and reach out to Valve and be like, hey guys, you got to fix this out. So I think it's rough. I'm not going to blame Drillas too much. I'm not a big fan of it. An EU team coming in, I don't think it just sets a very bad precedent. But again, that being said, no one's really going to give a shit about it. No one really didn't make too much a noise about it. I think I was the only one who really was yelling from the top of my boxes. That's about it. And also, it's probably the last time it's going to happen because RMRs are no more, right? So I think it's a sad point, but it's also kind of sadly a null point right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's so shit. Like, honestly, just fuck off. Like, out of the Asia RMR. Like, the fact that you can put a European team together and play the Asia RMR is really fucking stupid, honestly. And I think, like, we've seen this kind of team in multiple RMRs now, where like it's been like borderline European, like multiple Russian. Even those teams, I haven't been a fan of them, and they tried to do the same shit, and they always do this shit in the Middle Eastern qualifier. Like, it's always the Middle Eastern qualifier teams. It's like all of the top 3 teams. It's like half European. Like, it's really fucking dumb. It needs to stop ASAP, and we'll see what happens to like after the RMRs are no more. So yeah, I'm not super happy with the situation. At the end of the day, though, these guys are going to lower bracket qual. Let's be honest. Like, they probably won't win a BO3 against Mongolz in the upper bracket, but I could see them beating pretty much every other team here. Like Rare Atom, Lynn Vision, don't get the sense that these guys are that strong, like to give me a lot of confidence that they're going to beat Drillas. Like, I honestly think this Drillas team will be the 3rd team to qualify.
I think I'm going to be very, very, very annoyed.
It will happen. I think it will happen. Like, looking at the draw.
I can see where you're coming from, but I think it might be good for me personally, because I feel that they're going to be definitely better than the first 3 teams we've picked right there, right? But and obviously FlyQuest Mongolz should, as long as FlyQuest don't fucking choke, I think they should easily have the win right there. Lynn Vision, Rare Atom, I think they're kind of on par, and I think it's going to come down to who steps up on that day. right? That's what I'm looking at. Now for Drillas, you got to also remember, like, you know, they've had this switch up happening, you know, with the fifth coming in, with the stand-in coming in, and all of that. And I feel like obviously, you know, they've had a month to prep and whatnot, right? It's been a month so far, et cetera, et cetera. But I just still feel like the fact that, you know, it is a new player coming in, and obviously this has to be a little bit of a switch up there. And also the pressure of performing here, because they are very well aware that they have a real chance of making it out of the RMR, but not really a full proper team, so to speak. They've only been together for a few months, just with RMR playing against like shitters in the Middle Eastern qualifiers. So I feel either Lynn or Rare Adam might actually be able to kind of like, you know, squeeze them aside and make it out from the third. So I might be going with might be good.
Yeah, for me, I have them, when I did my like little power ranking personally, I had them as number 4. I think that would obviously that would put them in might be good because they'll just miss out on a qualifier spot. I would agree though, like the first point I want to make is that I just don't, I wanted to like this team, you know what I mean? Like when they first qualified, I was like, this is one of the best things to happen to Asia CS. Obviously, you know, the eyeballs and whatnot coming onto the region because of that. I really could get behind it with the core 3 Asia. And yes, you've taken a little bit of the Mickey with the dual nationality, whatever, that's fine. But I think now it just, I hate to say it, but I hope they don't qualify. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel bad saying that because there are players in that roster that I would like to see do well. It's in particular, Meztul is someone who has played at many Asia RMRs and has been a very good player. And in most of his previous teams, or all of his previous teams, I think has been the standout player in those rosters. So I would like to see him have some success and be able to compete at a major. I have nothing against that, but just it would leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth to see this team qualify now. Because it really would be like, okay, well, they're going to qual and no one's going to give a fuck because it's the last Asia RMRs. In theory, we'll talk about that later. So it just sort of gets swept under the rug. And I just think that's going to be kind of shitty for a region which, like, it is on the rise. You know, Asia is going in the right direction, the way things are going at the moment. And it's like, finally, Mongolz worked so fucking hard to get that third slot for this region. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, just a few guys from Europe are going to play and take that slot, potentially. Now, who knows? If they go through 2-0, fuck it. You know, like, what can you say, really, at that point? But, I don't know. I just hope they don't qual because at least then we'll be like, okay, we've got 3 actual Asia teams. But yeah, I think I'm going to put them in might be good as well. So overall, Pilski, bad luck. But you know, if you're right, fuck you. So
I won't be happy about it, but I think it's realistically going to happen.
I think it's very possible. I will say that. I honestly,
the Middle East teams have been so close to qualifying with way worse rosters than this. This is actually a pretty good roster, bro.
Like I think around lower bracket qual might be good. Like the lower bracket is going to be a fucking mess, bro. Like that's going to be
legit.
insane.
Like the BO1 between Lynn Vision and Drillas will decide who's the third place in this RMR, I reckon. Because maybe. Legit, that will put you so much further through the bracket, and then you're going to have to play your way through either Rare Adam and Lynn Vision, which is like a coin flip. And if you only have to play your way through one of those, it makes a huge difference.
All right. Well, we've talked a bit about FlyQuest already.
If only Tyloo. If only Tyloo.
Bro, Rare Adam's right here. What are you talking about? Half these cunts have been in Tyloo. This is Tyloo. 3 out of 5 of them.
If only current Tyloo was here, man. We wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd be like, yeah, Tyloo's gonna shit in their mouths, but no.
New Tyloo. Yeah. Well, do you think New Tyloo would qualify? I think they would.
I think they would. Yeah.
I think
they would be the third
after what I saw.
I think they could even beat FlyQuest on a good day, man. If they
think they could beat FlyQuest for sure.
Yeah.
I think they could beat Mongolz in a BO1 too. I'm not gonna lie.
I think they could. Yeah, I think they could.
I could see that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too like we always do this with this fucking Talon. They're the sickest thing. They're going to be so amazing. They're a Chinese stream team, and then they come and play like some event. We're like, oh, they were kind of mid.
We keep kicking players from the team to find out who's the choker, and they just keep choking. What the fuck's going on?
But we'll see. 2025 is Tyloo's year. That's what I reckon.
Okay.
Tyloo is going to be the Chinese equivalent of the Mongolz. They're going to follow that same trajectory. So it's going to probably take them until 2026, 2027 to actually be like good, like what Mongolz is. But there we go.
You're telling me Zoking is Mara?
Zoking is Chinese Mara.
Okay.
Or Mara is Mongolian Zoking. Whichever you prefer. Okay. I mean, Cammy's there too. Good on you, Cammy. Keep up the great work.
We love Cammy. Man,
you love Cammy.
Yeah.
All right. What about Mongolian Mara, aka Urcast, aka the coach of FlyQuest, where do we think? I mean, we've already sort of touched on this. I think we're kind of all pretty much in agreement that they're going to go 2-0, which, you know, might bite us in the ass the same way we were very, very confident about them going into the last RMR. But what can you do? I think things are looking fantastic at the moment for FlyQuest. Probably the best they've looked in 12 months or so, just from a, like, I'm not even saying just from like the way that they're playing the game or anything like that. Like, you can only take so much, I think, from that one result at Atlanta. But just from, I just want to say from a vibes perspective, like I'm down with the Zoomers, you know, turned 30 this year, but I've still got the lingo. From a vibes perspective, it feels like the vibes are as good for FlyQuest as they have been probably since before the last RMR. They're in FlyQuest instead of Greyhound. Ali's had a pretty good event. You know, people are like, wow, they're actually good again. You know, the support's there. I think they're feeling
Jordan.
good.
I want to ask you this.
Sure.
How confident are you? And how confident are you that Ali's going to replicate what he did in Atlanta at the RMR?
Well, without having seen...
If the chips are down, if you're having a rough day in the office, if, you know, it's some who are they playing against again?
Let me tell you your secret, player. Ali doesn't even really need to do anything for them to qualify. This is all FlyQuest has to do to qualify for the RMR. They have to beat Talon in a BO1, and then Rare Atom or GR in a BO3, and they're in.
Hey, let's remember what happened. They played against Rare Atom last time.
Fuck that up.
When they played against Rare Atom last time,
not the same team.
Yeah, but
it's not even close to the same team.
The
what are they going to see the logo and get PTSD? Yep. Like, what's going on here, bro?
They could.
Kaze. That's what I'm going to say. Kaze was on the team too.
Oh, that's true.
Kaze.
Get Advent emergency sub. Where's he at?
Let me just have a quick look at. Have FlyQuest played an official since Atlanta? Oh, they did play some. They did play. Oh, obviously they played ESL Challenger finals. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But okay.
Mickey Mouse.
That doesn't matter. That literally does not matter. Yeah. I would say without having seen them play like another official that is of relevance, can you have the confidence that Alistair and FlyQuest are going to play as well as they did? I'd be at like 50%. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you can definitely say, like, you can't reliably say yes, but you can say at least they played a pretty good event. And like I'm saying, the vibes are good. They're boot camping this time around. They don't
need to, though. They don't even need to. They just need to play like mid. They need to play like 75% form and they'll qualify in 2 games.
They did not play that well at the last RMR. So why is it infeasible that they could?
Because the bracket draw is completely different. They have to play Talon and then fucking GR or Rare Atom, bro. All they got to do is literally put like a half of a Chinese retirement home in the BO3 and they're fucking in.
Also, it is a bit of a, I mean, the last RMR was a wake-up call, right? It was a slap in the face.
I think so, yeah.
It was a wake-up call. And listen, they didn't wake up immediately, right? They still look fucking grim in a lot of tournaments they play, but I feel like they are the one team that's kind of peaking at the right time. I think my Ali question there was more, I think it was more general. I think it's more about how they're going to do at the major, because I think I assume they're going to go through. Obviously, I agree with Pilski as well. I don't see a world where they choke this one. If they do it, I don't even know what to say. So yeah, I think that's more of a generic question for how Ali's gonna, if he's going to replicate his Atlanta form at the major. But I think confidence-wise and just peaking at the right time, I think FlyQuest haven't been in a better place all year. So yeah.
We will see. But
speaking of peaking,
yeah, well, I mean, when I did this, I actually thought about putting I was thinking I'll put a Mongolz tier because, like, let's be real, like, there's no question Mongolz goes 2-0. They go easily as the #1 team. I don't even think we really need to talk about that all that much, but just for the sake of it, for people who maybe are new to Counter-Strike and are just watching for the first time, Mongolz is easily the best team in this region, and by a very, very long way. So
you should have put up the top CCT tier, and we could put Mongolz up there, bro.
Screenshot it. I'll just change this. Watch this. DCT tier.
We got to move FlyQuest. FlyQuest are not CCT tier.
But
when I screenshot it, I don't have to screenshot FlyQuest. I'll just screenshot the Mongolz logo. Okay. And,
cool.
Then we can get all the...
That could be the teaser for the episode.
The fans riled up.
That's big brain.
Smart as fuck. Smart. I like that, Jordan. You're learning.
What is there to say about Mongolz? Like, if they don't qual, guys, we need to do something if they don't qual.
They would have to lose to Alter Ego in a BO1, and then they would have to lose to Lynn Vision or Drillas, which could... No,
Blair will shave his head if they don't qualify.
Whoa,
Bro,
okay,
can you
calm down.
imagine Zion Bentet resurgence and then Zaka goes plus 35 in a lower
Dude,
bracket series? to knock
Zachar
them out?
scares me.
Zachar
Zachar scares me, dude.
Bro, Zaka's the best player in China. If only
I
he
know.
wasn't fucking
All
playing
he
with
needed was
anchors around his
AWP.
legs.
He just needed the op.
That's true, bro.
Alright.
What's this G guy doing?
It's settled then.
I think
It's settled. They're
Mongols.
out. 0-2.
No, Blair's going to shave his head.
I think Mongols, when they beat Hero, I won't lie. Like I was at the event of Thunder Pick, and I knew they should 100% be in the playoffs. Right, 3D Max. I think they got past a mental barrier. They looked fucking sick. The finals against Heroic, and look, there was a caveat. Shush was feeling not great or whatnot, but I don't think that's an excuse. They got destroyed in the final map, and even a couple of maps they won looked very convincing. I think they finally. We saw this in Yalla as well, but I feel like there was lower stakes overall. And also the fact that after that they started like struggling a little bit. And many of the interviews we've heard from Techno, I think Vincenzo as well, it was like all the traveling and stuff for us. It's a first for us, right? We haven't traveled so much doing all these S-tier events. The pressure is always on. This is something which we're not used to, which we're kind of figuring out as we go. And I was a little worried that Heroic would kind of just smash them in that best of 5. Obviously, because Heroic, if you look at recent results, Heroic have looked better than the Mongols, right? Look at IM Rio; they almost beat Navi, number 1 team. They choked that second map, and they're still top 4. The losses they've had have been against the best teams in the world, top 3, top 4 teams in the world. Mongols have always had that. Are they gonna qualify for the playoffs, or are they gonna make it to the finals? Elisa comes to mind, for example, right? Yeah. We were talking about even in Cologne with the loss to Pain Gaming of all the teams out of beating all these teams. Rio was fucking VP, who is shit right now, and I was worried there. But again, they seem to somehow play at the level of their opponents, and they really stepped up. And I feel like this is really kind of broken the mental barrier, which we touched on multiple times on this podcast, saying that they just need to get past the one barrier, at least in the second half of this year, and start winning shit, start making playoff runs in big events. And I feel like they've done that, which is why coming to this event, they're just going to be in cruise control mode. And that is the scariest Mongols can go up against. No respect, fuck you, Mongols.
How many rounds did they lose last RMR? Let's have a quick look. They lost...
Did they even drop a map?
11... No, they didn't drop a map. They lost 11 rounds in a best of 3 against Lynn Vision. 4 against Greyhound and 4 against Myth Avenue. So they lost 19 rounds over 4 maps. And
Fucking hell.
they just chilled. Like, that's exactly what I'm expecting them from
This
here.
is exactly
an average of like 5 rounds a map.
If it will be even in theory better, because like first of all, they won't have to play another best of 3. But I think they could just fucking...
They'll 3-0 and go straight through.
Yeah,
It'd be easy as
like
well.
13-5, 13-5, like 13-4, something like that.
Yeah.
That could actually be what I think will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Mongolz loses, if Mongolz doesn't qualify, I'll fucking shave my eyebrows. If they don't, if they lose a series, I would be extremely surprised even. So
yeah,
hopefully they don't fail to qualify. Otherwise, I'll have to shave my eyebrows. But that won't happen.
I'll hold you to that.
Lynn Vision, an interesting prospect because they just got absolutely fucking owned on LAN by Tyloo. So we can talk about that. The ESL Challenger League final that we got to cast Pilski was, I would say, very disappointing from the Lynn Vision perspective.
Yeah, but these guys are clearly the best Chinese team, Jordan. They did get invited to this event. Just remember that for a second here, bro. I'm putting them will not impressed. Zaka's going to do his absolute fucking best. That will be better than Talon. Zaka's going to do his best. He might be the best player in China right now. The dude's fucking insane. But honestly, a Fufu and flying, like a Fufu, I'm just not a fan. Like, I don't even know how he's still in the team. Like anyone else, please. No offense, bro, but like I've seen enough. Emilia and Westmiller are actually still pretty decent. Like the thing is, they still have a core of players that are decent and like could still make up like a pretty good team. But I think flying super up and down. I think this team comes down to like whether flying's playing well or not, because Fufu is just going to play a role and like be a man. He's going to be a man with a gun on the server. But like, I've literally seen him die to utility, like anchoring pit on Inferno and like just like not even move. So I don't even know.
They're missing the rifling presence that you get from the better teams. Like when we're looking at this roster, it's like, is Zaka good? If Zaka good, maybe you win the map. If Zach are not good, you have no chance. But even if Zach is good, you might not still win the map because he's like the only guy that's good. You know, you're not getting that extra presence that, yes, Amelia can have a good game here and there. We saw a little bit of that. But normally he's not like the guy. He's not like him. He's not Ins. He's not, you know, he's not a fucking Techno or a Mizzino or a Blitz that's going to be able to push the game over the line necessarily without help. So that's, I think, what you're missing for Lynn Vision. If they could find, like you say, if a Fufu gets removed here, they find a rifler that can mirror the level of Zaka or even go like 75% of Zaka, what Zaka's doing with the orb. Yeah, exactly. If they had a Starry back again, like you have Starry Zaka in that case, obviously not going to happen, but like just in a theoretical world, that is the kind of play. You need a Starry, you need a Mercury, you need someone like that. Yeah. And they don't really have that.
They need someone to bash noobs. Like they've got too many role players. They've just got like literally 4 role players. And Flying's meant to be a noob basher, but like he's just all over the shop. I don't get it. Like Amelia and Westmelon, when they're playing well, will like do really well in an area of the map. And like Amelia will work banana control really well, but then like he's not gonna get a guaranteed multi-frag every time. He's gonna like win you the macro, but they have no finishes. So yeah, it's just rough. They don't have the firepower, unfortunately, to do well.
Anything to say on this regard, Bleh?
Not really. I think you guys covered all the bases there. That being said, will not impress.
Like, could we put them in might be good? Could we put them bottom of might be good if Zaka goes farm mode?
I think they're kind of bottom of might be good. I'll tell you why. One thing we saw was obviously in EPL, it was Zachary just being unreal right now. And he's continued that form, by the way, in some of the games they've had after that as well online. They played like coming to CCT events. I think the bootcamp for a little bit post Malta as well. They have been playing a little bit here and there. And I can only assume, since there haven't been any crazy changes so far, that it can't get worse. The team cannot get worse, right? And of course, Westmelon, Flying, they've been together along with Zachary as well. The core has been around for quite a while too. So I'm hoping that they've at least coalesced together to being not just a Zaka show, and that they can be a little bit dangerous. And even if it was only the Zaka show, I'm just going back to EPL. I know it's a while ago, but I saw like some of the how they made a few teams sweat quite a bit, right? FlyQuest sweated a bit as well, even though they lost 0-2. They took a map of Heroic. They had close map against Navi as well. I mean, these are some pretty solid names. All these 3 teams are better than almost any other team playing here in this RMR, right? So I'm gonna slide to might be good. They could potentially surprise us.
I think I'll agree and leave them in might be good just because, okay, and here's my argument. You guys are going to love this. If Advent, it always comes back to Advent. If Advent can drop a 2.0 rating against the Mongolz to qualify for IEM Chengdu, maybe Flying or a Fufu can have a couple of decent best of 1s or best of 3s at the Asia RMR and not completely shit the bed. I still don't think they're going to qualify, but all we're really asking for is Zaka to have another couple of decent series and for Flying to exist.
Already, man.
That's all it needs to be.
We know Zaka's going to play good. We know Zaka's going to play good.
So
he
Zaka's
fucking had like a 1.6 or 1.7 rating over 5 maps on land.
Then what else do you need from this team? What else?
Anybody else to fucking do anything?
Exactly.
4 other players to do something.
That's what I'm saying. All you need is Amelia to have that fucking map where he drops 25 kills and you're like, great, Lynn Vision's good again for this map in particular.
With a fucking 80% headshot rate, of course.
Like, that's all it needs to be. Like, okay, so it's not that far out of the realms of possibility that Amelia has one good map and then Flying has one good map, and all of a sudden we're like, you know what? Lynn Vision, they did all right. That's my argument.
You're going to just use my rationale and everyone would be like, yeah, it makes sense, but no, you had to go Advent. Jordan, you cunt.
Everything comes back to Advent. The GOAT.
Bring back Advent, Rare Adam Advent. He would actually be in Advent tier on this tier list. I mean, I guess we have to put Rare Adam here in the lower bracket qual because that's the only slot that's left. Are we all happy with that?
No.
It's kind of weird with this team, right? Look, if it was a few months ago, before it qualified and everything, when the team came together, I would lie, I didn't really have much faith, right? You're talking about Summer and somebody. some of the greats we've ever had, but I feel like their time has come and gone, right? You had Kaze, got removed for obviously reason. He wasn't being as consistent. He wasn't being the carry that he was. He's also getting on with the years as well. And then of course you have Chalking and Li Hong. I thought this was going to be one of those, one of those Chinese teams, right? They're going to be there. They're going to do a little bit of, say, play a few games, few tournaments for a few months, and then there are going to be some lineup changes. But they have surprised me. And despite the lack of faith I've had, they seem to at least believe in themselves, right? And they have been grinding it out. They have been boot camping quite a bit. And they seem to be, surprisingly, considering there's somebody on the team, more than the sum of the parts, honestly. Just looking at the results and everything. And I wouldn't necessarily have them as a shoe-in to be the third team. But looking at the remnants, or like the remainder of the teams we have over here, I think they would be kind of tied with Drillas, if you ask me. But I'm going to edge them in because I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah. It's kind of where I'm at as well. Like, this is what I was trying to say. I think 3, 4, 5, and honestly, maybe even Talon, like 3, 4, 5, 6 is really messy. Like, I just think anything can really happen in this area. Like, I have enough faith that Mongolz and FlyQuest are going to be able to make it pretty comfortably. I have enough lack of faith in Alter Ego and GR that I think they're also probably pretty comfortably the 0-2 teams. But this middle of the pack, like, I really think anything can happen, honestly. And I would tend to like line up with what we've got here, but who's to say fucking Zaka doesn't hard carry a map and win a game? You know what I mean? That we would not predict them to win. So
I could realistically see any of those 3 teams be the third team to qualify, but I just think it'll be Drillas. That's why I would put them there. I think Lynn Vision's probably the weakest in my mind, and I think Drillas and Rare Atom are pretty close, but I think Drillas has better individuals and they're bringing that European-like style and level to the game, whereas Rare Atom, honestly, all they've done that's really impressive is beat Tyloo a couple times. Honestly, like that's it. And so and one of those times was with Zoking. Like the most impressive thing they did was beat the Tyloo roster playing with Starry to qualify for this event. And it's like, outside of that, like take that best of 3 out of your mind and tell me that Rare Atom is going to qualify for the major.
You're not wrong. Because I mean, I had a look at what they did overseas in Europe, and it was kind of like, oh, that really wasn't that impressive at all. It didn't look good in the Blast event that they went and got fucked by FaZe, which, like, again, what are you going to expect? But whatever.
It's FaZe.
And then they played like was it a CCT or a something? One of them fucking.
They played the 500 Casino Halloween Cup, guys.
The 500. How could I forget? How could I forget? Of course. Jesus Christ. All right, let's do this thing. Let's fucking get this sorted. This will really let us know exactly where we're at. So Mongolz, Alter Ego, we're going 1-0 Mongolz, right? No questions about that one.
I need to bring up the bracket on my own thing because yours has got about like 4 pixels on the entire screen.
Yeah, I can speedrun the early scores here, I think, because
go for
there's Mongolz 1-0, FlyQuest 1-0. I think we're going to agree with that. Lynn Vision Drillas, that's the big question mark, I guess.
That's the toughest one to call. I'm gonna. That's actually really hard to call. I think we're adding 1-0's GR.
Okay.
I'm going to go Drillas. I think Lynn Vision has looked shaky as hell lately. And I think they are a team that struggles with firepower. I think, honestly, Drillas is going to run at them and they're not going to be able to shoot back. And, like, if it's that kind of game where, like, they're getting run over a little bit or people are leaking sites, which I don't think Lynn Vision has great individuals to hold sites in a best of 1. Zaka's not going to get the AWP that much. They're not going to have good econ, and Drillas is going to beat them. That's how I think it's going to go. Like, Zaka does hard carry, but he does kind of need to get the AWP going at some point. So it's going to be map dependent. And I just think Lynn Vision just looks way too shaky, and they're going to get rolled over.
I don't know what the map pool is like for Drillers, but if they can get it onto Dust 2,
they just need to win a BO1, bro. Maybe. Like, they get it onto Dust 2? Are you smoking crack,
that's what I'm saying. If Lynn Vision can get it onto Dust 2.
No, I don't think Drill's going to allow that through.
No fucking way you let them go onto Dust 2. You want to get this onto like Ancient or something and then just...
I think Ancient could low-key be interesting because both the teams, I think it's the best map. One of the best maps for both the teams. Also one of the most played as well. So I think it's going to be a map that both the teams are pretty comfortable on. It could be very competitive, honestly. But yeah, like, I'm just going to agree with Mitch because, again, when it comes down to just firepower, even though I think Zachary might be the best player in the server when he pops off with the AWP. Just look at
Yeah.
other names they have on that team, right? You're talking about Woro, you're talking about Seneri. These are very known quantities for the side of Drillas, even Haji for that matter. And I just can't say the same for these guys.
All right. Mongolz Drillas. I think we're all agreeing.
Mongolz,
Is it 2-0?
absolute fisting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-0, fisting.
Boom. Off you go. And then FlyQuest Rare Adam.
FlyQuest. I could see, but FlyQuest.
I could see a map. I could see a map from Rare Adam.
I think 2-0. I think FlyQuest has got good momentum right now.
I would agree. I'd say the same.
I mean, if they play 75% of Atlanta level, yeah, I agree. 2-0. In which case, Mongolz and FlyQuest are obviously now then qualified. So lower bracket. Alter Ego Lynn Vision.
Lynn Vision.
Lynn Vision 2-0.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
so too.
And then GR Talon.
Talon.
I
I'll go
think
Talon.
that one's a coin flip, but
Obvious.
sure.
No, I think Talon takes this one, dude. Come on.
I'll go Talon 2-1. I mean, no, to be fair, Bleh, I do think you are underrating GR a little bit. I think that they're not as bad as you think you are, that they are. And I think most people are going to make that same mistake. Like, I think a lot of people are going to look at this GR and go, who the fuck are these guys? And then after the fact, it's going to come out like, oh, actually, they've played a fair bit.
It's worth mentioning as well. People are saying, and I agree with this, they don't have LAN experience. But I just want to remind people, by the way, these guys have played most of their career on like 80 to 100 ping, and now they're all going to be playing on 5 ping. And they put up like decent numbers and qualified with like, dog shit internet. And now they're going to be playing on LAN. It's like they could actually be better than they were online.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. But also for me, the primary thing is the pressure coming on. Like, look, there's going to be pressure on every team, apart from me, the Mongolz and FlyQuest. Actually, more pressure on those two guys, actually, to qualify. But I'm looking at Alter Ego. I'm looking at some of the people like, you have Azure, even like some of the young guns, Hazard, Nedic, they've all been here, right? They've all been in situations like this. They have that experience, right? And for these guys, GR, your first international LAN. They might have played a few local LANs. I have no idea about it. It's on HLTV, not even on Wikipedia. But if this is your first big LAN, the pressure's on. And it's an RMR, a great chance. One of the few chances you're going to get, perhaps the only chance as well to qualify to the major. The pressure is massively on. And I think that's going to affect them. Even though they might be better than how a lot of people, and myself included, expect them to be, I think the pressure is just going to get to them, which is why I would have to edge with Talon.
I have to edge Talon as well. I think it will be pretty disappointing if Talon loses. Just because there's a lot of investment that's gone into that roster. They've moved.
That's not going to be happy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they've moved 3 of the Aussie players over to Malta. Obviously, getting MHL into an ANZ team. They're, I assume, all getting salaried. Like, they wouldn't be doing this without a salary. There's a lot of investment going into the Talon roster. So that roster, like, I think what that organization would want is that team to qualify to the major. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily, but you can't be going 0-2 against GR Gaming. No way.
Agree.
So hope they win it. Rare Adam Lynn Vision. Hey, there we go. We get to see the Chinese derby. What's going to happen there?
Probably Rare Adam 2-1, but it could go either way, honestly.
I feel like it's a splitting hairs, really, in my opinion. Even though we've got Rare Adam favored in our power ranking, I do think this is a matchup that really could just fucking who knows.
Lynn Vision could definitely win. I think it's going to be like veto and prep based, and it's going to be close.
It's going to be messy, I'll tell you that. Super fucking messy.
Yeah, it's going to be messy. It's going to depend, what if it's a really messy game and Lynn Vision struggles to get Zaka on the AWP, or because I honestly think Zaka on the AWP really could define a lot of these series for Rare Adam. When I've seen them struggle to get economy together, when they were getting bashed by Ty Luz, Zaka had literally no impact. It was barely some of the fucking halves they were playing, he couldn't get AWP'd until the 6th or the 7th round and a half. And if that's the way that the game's going, their CT side starts that poorly, it's going to be really rough for them.
I'm going to lean Rare Adam as well.
Yeah.
So we'll say 2-1 Rare Adam. Drillas Talon.
Drillas. I think Drillas 2-0. But I'd like to see Talon take a map. I'd like to see Talon give it a crack and try and win that series. There's just so little to watch. And I think when they're struggling against some of these European teams online, and then I feel like this Drillas team is maybe of the quality, maybe slightly better quality in terms of individual players. of some of these European teams, they should be able to beat Talon, honestly. I just think Talon's been way too shaky and inconsistent, like I said, but I'd love for them to come into the RMR and play really well. And this is coming from someone that I pretty much watch all of Talon's games. Like when they're playing, I'm like hoping that they do well. I love the org investment, but I just haven't seen anything that's that convincing from them that like would lead me to back them really heavily, you know?
Yeah, I mean, just having a quick look at some of the results that they've both had playing in these like tier 2 European Cups and whatever.
Pretty similar, actually.
It's quite similar. I would say I lean Drillas in terms of those results just a little bit. Like I think they have got a couple more wins that maybe Talon's missing out on, but not by a huge margin. So I could see this being closer than like. I feel like the zeitgeist of this is like Drillas is actually a decent, good team, but I don't think actually the results show that they're necessarily any better by a large margin than Talon and Rare Atom as a team. So that would be my only argument. I do think I lean Drillas definitely, but I give Talon a map. I
find it funny you bring up team because for me, I just feel like Talon's an actual real team. Drillas isn't, right? Like let's be real, they've been made for the RMR. If they don't make it to the major,
they've been a team for a while now. They've been
playing multiple tournaments
because
they're playing a lot more than the Rare Atoms.
That's nothing to play for. If they don't make it to the major, you think this team's going to stick around? You think this?
Yeah, but
no, that doesn't of course
matter.
not.
That doesn't matter though, does it? Like
I don't know, but the thing for Talon is, I feel like they're. I could be
Talon's
wrong.
Talon's also only just been built. Like I mean, they were built earlier in the year.
But it feels like they're built more long term, right? Like even if they don't make it to the major, it's gonna be fucking suck. But I feel like this is a lineup which could maybe down the line, maybe with a couple of tweaks here and there, still have some promise. Which is why I just want to edge the way of Talon. But again, I have to go with Drillas, man. Like, it sucks to say, but
I think the individual talent is just a little bit more there for Drillas, and I think they are getting a bit more reps. But I don't know how much Talon's been scrimming, like obviously, like, but just in terms of officials, you would assume so. That's all they've got to do in theory. But it looks like Drillas is like really getting their reps in, so I've got to give them some credit for that.
Also, looking at some of the players in Drillas, these are like some RMR merchants right there, man. I'm looking at Scenery from like Bad News Eagles. You're looking at people like War 2K.
Yeah, but not in the Asia RMR, mate. Like they're fucking.
That is true. He's trying to play the Asian RMR game in Asian RMR in the Asian RMR, but still, look. Jokes aside, I can't really go against Drillas in this one.
Yeah,
but I think this is the closest one so far to call for me in the lower bracket so far.
I think Rare Atom and Lynn Vision are both. Rare Atom and Vision is quite close, I think.
Yeah, I think Drillas will probably 2-0 Talon. I think Talon will take them close on one map and then lose one map.
I want to believe Talon is going to go from the RMR qual where we saw them play and we were like, that was all right, but nothing special, to we've now had like 2 months grinding.
How often does that happen, though? Like, how often does a team look meh and then a few months later just turn in amazing? Just with a few months of prac, like how often does that happen? I feel like that never happens from like minor region teams.
It's always gradual.
Yeah, like you need a tournament to leapfrog you in. That's why we're so confident about Mongolz and so confident about FlyQuest. That's why I have no confidence in like Lynn Vision, for example. So I just watch them be like really mid.
Yeah, got shit on. Okay, well, Rare Atom and Drillas. This is the qualification match. Blair and I obviously both put Rare Atom in the power ranking. So. I feel like we're voting Rare Atom here, or are we flip-flopping on that now, Blair?
I think it's going to be just like we witnessed between Lynn Vision and FlyQuest, just at a much lower level, like the last RMR, right? I think it's going to be Rare Atom just somehow waking up. Somebody's just going to channel his inner old fucking animal self. Someone's going to pop off Kazi. He's going to be 21 fucking dunking on fools again, and it's going to be Rare Atom.
I can't make an equivalency between Advent and Zaka, but you can fucking get your fucking somebody hard on after 15 years of watching him play Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
I see.
It's a pretty confused. It's one of those confused boners, but it's still a boner.
I would go Drillas. I think like Rare Atom, all of the players statistically are like struggling to get above like a 1.05 rating. Like they are scraping through these series playing like as a team or playing good strats, and that's how they're like winning these series. No one's putting in like crazy numbers for the side of Rare Atom, whereas like I said on Drillas, they've got Waro, they've got Kvem, they've got like multiple players who are like in Europe, they post like 1.2, 1.3 ratings like pretty consistently. They have better individual players, so I probably back them to win like over Rare Atom most times. If Rare Atom wins, it'll be like them scraping a series win over the line and like out teamworking them, and it will be because Drillas didn't do their due diligence and like have enough depth as a team, or like maybe someone chokes or something like that. But yeah, I think Rare Atom is going to have a decent base level, but I honestly think Drillas will probably 2-0 them as well. Like I think Drillas could pretty much 2-0 most of the teams that are not Mongolz or FlyQuest at this event.
You know, like, again, like I said, I feel like this is a matchup that really goes. I'm just going to put Rare Atom because that's what I hope is going to happen. But honestly, I could see Rare Atom lose to Lynn Vision, and then it's Lynn Vision Drillas, and it's the same thing. Like for me, it's like, well, whether it's Lynn Vision or Rare Atom here against Drillas, I think that's like a fucking wild card of a match. Honestly, I wouldn't bet on that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't bet on this match. Is what I'm saying. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm just hands off this one. I'm just gonna watch it. But anyway, that's where we've ended up. So Mongolz, FlyQuest, Rare Atom.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look. I'm not much a believer in like manifesting and stuff, but I was about to go to sleep last night and saw this. I was just doom scrolling through, Instagram, and it's been
if Trump can win the election, maybe Rare Atom
exactly
can
right.
qualify for
And then I
major.
saw
Tarzan
this
can
one.
qualify for major.
Listen, I saw this girl with like, she's sitting somewhere in India and she's from, I think, from the UK. She's got dreadlocks. And she was like, manifest. You gotta
Fucking
manifest
classic,
happiness.
bro. Of course.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, random girl talking to me with a dreadlocks. I'm gonna manifest this. Like, we got 3 spots for Asia. It's gonna happen in Shanghai. We need a Chinese team, and we don't have Tai Lu. But hey, we got Tai Lu at home. That's Rare Atom. That's what I'm gonna go with. That's going to manifest it.
That's the perfect analogy. That is actually, we don't have Tyler, but we've got Tyler at home. I respect that. All right, that's the RMR portion done. We've got a couple of quick topics here as well. We can just blast through and then say goodbye. First one that I brought was RMR's getting cancelled in 2025. This is news that came out, which we kind of knew was happening, but
Yeah.
Now that the news is like out, quick thoughts. I am pretty sad, because as I've said previously, I think RMRs are probably one of my favorite events of the year. I really like watching them. I think that it provides a lot for those like respective regional audiences and players as well. Like there's great storylines. You always get really good storylines in the RMRs. So I'm going to be sad to see them go. I think there's also still a lot to be figured out with regard to the ranking system that can really cause problems down the track if it's not fixed up. I mean, we can talk about Mongolz winning Thunderpick as well. Number 5 on the Valve ranking after that. Is Mongolz the number 5 ranked team in the world? No. Obviously they're not. But they are right now, according to the most important ranking going into 2025. Like, that is the ranking going into 20... Who gives a fuck about HLTV ranking going into...
To be fair, I mean...
that's the point of it.
Just addressing that in particular, right? Considering how the events are going to be with the new rule sets coming into place with the invites and everything starting next year, right? We're not going to have scenarios like an XYZ team winning a CC tier event, which is like $500,000 and being immediately catapulted to the 5th position. So that's not going to happen. I think it's just a transitional anomaly or a problem, so to speak. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
I don't know if I buy that though, because like look, first of all, I will say I did listen to the HLTV confirmed podcast that they did, whoever did it, and they were like going in depth into it, and I was like, fuck me, this is
was it the one with Messioso?
Messioso, yeah. To be fair, I may have been fucking tired because I was listening to it in an airport, but I listened to it and I was like, man, this is, first of all, it's very confusing. It's not like straightforward necessarily, because there's like, if you beat this team but they beat this team, then you get more points or less points based on who they've beaten, but how much money they've got and how much money you've got. It's just like, okay, whatever. First of all, that's fucked. But what's my fucking point? I don't know. It's very convoluted. It's very convoluted.
It is convoluted, yes.
And going into next year, like we've been saying for like 12 months, the ranking system needs to be figured out. The ranking system needs to be figured out. Go back like to this episode that we did like 2 majors ago, where there was 2 Middle Eastern slots at the Paris RMR because of the ranking system being fucked. A dead team got a region, an extra slot for no reason. And then coming into this one, Lynn Vision get an invite when they really shouldn't have. And And you're going to sit here and tell me that going into 2025, none of that's going to happen again next year? I don't buy that. With how convoluted the whole thing is. Like, I don't think that that's true.
I'm not saying that's not going to happen again. I'm just saying that maybe this scenario is not going to happen. Maybe some new problems crop up, right? Like, absolutely, we don't know yet. We're only going to see, like, for example, this entire situation with like 4 European, 3 EU players playing in a team in the Asian RMR. That's fucked, but no one saw it coming. It was there. No one saw it. I didn't fucking see it. I was like, all right, cool. Fair enough. They have Haji and they have 2 Israeli players.
Well, I would have just thought that you couldn't use that person as a sub. That was why I thought that would not happen.
Clearly we're wrong, right? And I don't even really blame the team. They can't. Like, they just played with the rules that were given to them. Is it a little weird? Yes, absolutely. But it is what it is. But here's the thing. I feel like these scenarios won't be a thing anymore because these are very specific RMR-based problems, right? But heading into next year, sure, there might be more other issues cropping up. Just to answer your question to Jordan, overall, I do feel bad about the death of the minor/RMR system, right? It does suck. I do also agree that it felt like, and we've seen this, like many people have spoken about this, that for a lot of teams and players, the RMR is the most important event of the year. Fuck the major, right? It's like an Indian team qualifying for an international event, and they're like, hey guys, job's done. Yay, we go for vacation now, and they get fucking 16'd out, which has happened before, by the way. And I don't want that mentality. You make it to the major, that is the holy grail of Counter-Strike. You fucking go there and you play to win, to make it out of there. Not just happy that you make it out of RMR. So I get it, but also I just feel it sucks. And obviously it's been spoken to death about how it's going to really be rough for a lot of the tier 2, tier 3 scene overall. And considering the open circuit nature of Counter-Strike, at least the majors, and how that works and all the fairy tale stories that we've had and how that differentiates Counter-Strike's esports scene, one of the big differentiators with Valorant and your leagues and all the other games, big esports titles out there. I really love that potential Cinderella story. And with that being taken out of the equation, I think we've lost more than we've won here.
My problem is it's going to be very, 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 very hard to be a new team and get anywhere of relevance. Like, how are you going to do a Mongolz-esque run without qualification slots to most of the, like, when you actually look at most of the events, they're all invite. Ranking based, VRS ranking invites. And I'm thinking like, okay, let's just say, and this is going to sound fucking dumb, but like, let's just say Art of War, okay, are going to be the next FlyQuest in 2 years' time. What is the pathway for that team who has currently probably fucking 0 ranking points to get to a point where they're actually getting invites to events as an Australian team? They play in ESL Challenger Australia. First of all, how many points are they going to get out of that? Because 90% of those teams don't have points as it is. And if it's based on how many points you get for versing teams that have already got points, you're not getting shit for that unless they would have beat FlyQuest, which I guess in this scenario they do. Let's say in this scenario they do beat FlyQuest. They beat FlyQuest. Cool, you got some points. And then what? You maybe go to Pro League and you get fucking dumpstered by generic EU team number 24. You lose all your points.
Yeah.
You go back to ANZ. And then it's like a rinse and repeat cycle because you can never consistently get into these events to get the points that you need to stay in a position to get the points that you need from regions like AU, and I assume this is going to be a problem for Asia as well. Maybe less of a problem in Asia when we look at things like who knows what happens with Mesa, like Mesa Nomadic Masters. That could potentially be a ranked event. I don't know if they have it next year. Extremesland, from what I can see on HLTV, is a ranked event next year, which is actually very good, very, very good for the Asia scene. Because teams like Mongolz, teams like Talon, Rare Atom, Lynn Vision, etc., can go and can get ranking points. But the issue that I have, especially for OST, is that when we look at like the ESL ranking invites as well, they're all for Asia now only. There's no split sub-region. So there's no Oceania invite only. It's going to be Asia invites. So, and this ties into my next conversation point. ESL's teasing IEM Australia. I made a tweet about IEM Australia. ESL Australia replied to it with a little thinking emoji, whatever. Take from that what you will. But IEM Spring, if you look at IEM Spring on the website, 2 Asia slots, No OS slot. OS is part of Asia now, according to all these. They're inviting 2 Asia teams from the rankings. So let's say FlyQuest bombs the major, loses all their ranking points. Now there's no Oceanic team at IEM Australia if IEM Spring is IEM Australia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and how do you as a team from this region get anywhere? It's
I don't
really,
have
really
an answer.
bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with no domestic tournaments like RMRs. So that's my rant.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think we're going to have to see the system play out. But, you know, there's been a lot of issues with RMRs as well. You know, we're talking about the EU
every
core,
event there's
but
a problem.
I think like, you know, RMRs have played out. We've seen how that's worked. And I don't know. It's been good. There's been good parts of it. There's been bad parts of it. I think there's pros. There's a lot of pros to the ranking system as well that I'm a fan of, which is like, we used to have these dead games that didn't matter, where it's like, oh, if you've already qualified or like you're playing for prize money, that's like not a decent amount of prize money. Teams are now incentivized to actually try in extra games, you know, because like games are worth ranking points. So like that's a part of it that I like, because there's been so many dead rubber games in tournaments that don't matter. That like I'm sick of casting, honestly, where like teams, they won't even try once they've qualified, or like they don't, like they just mentally check out a game. So I think that's a positive thing. I think I already see exactly what you're talking about, Jordan, happening in Valorant, really, which is like the Oceanic teams. It's going to be like one Oceanic team that's like relevant, basically, or that like qualifies to go to a like overseas
Which, to
event.
be fair,
gets
it is at
invited.
the moment anyway. But like, there
It's
is
not,
at least
though.
the opportunity.
There's multiple teams. There's been multiple teams that have gone to a lot of events.
Sure.
There's 3 spots at fucking EPL for OS teams, bro.
Yeah.
Like
the season
that's
after,
insane.
there's
It's
only
not
one, by the
team.
way.
What's that?
The season after is only one.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, we've never had more opportunities for Oceanic teams, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there's no ESL challenges next year, as far as I know. So,
Yep.
Like there will be Challenger League, probably, but the actual Challenger events like Challenger Melbourne, Jönköping, whatever, those I don't believe are existing next year.
It just sucks. It does feel like, you know, a step forward and 2 steps back at times. Sometimes, you know. But yeah, it is what
Like
it is.
you're gonna need perfect slot. Like I'm looking at Cologne, for example, 24 teams. Every single slot there is the global standing invite. So there's no allocation based on region, as far as I know, unless that changes. So it's like there's no like, oh, one Asia team, one, you know, OS team, and then 10 fucking Europe team invites, whatever, which is what it kind of used to be, but there was qualifiers for those slots. Now it's just, we are going to invite the 24 top teams in the world, and fair enough. But how do you get to the top 24 teams in the world if the best event that you can potentially play in possibly will be ESL Challenger League ANZ and maybe like an Extremes End? Let's say you call for an Extremes End, you win that. It's a 100k prize pool. Get 50k for coming first. But that same weekend, fucking Mongolz, or well, maybe Mongolz is a bad example because they're going to play at the event. But let's say Saw or fucking Eternal Fire are at PGL something or other, and they've just won $500,000. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, we're playing in our domestic competitions, but they don't actually fucking matter. That's the problem. Even if the scene itself supports it, you know, if there's like, let's say there's like 4 or 5 Asia-based tournaments, they would need to be like $500,000 prize pool tournaments to actually make a dent on the ranking. That's my issue here. But I don't see the pathway, but maybe, hopefully I'm reading into it wrong. I don't really know enough about this sort of shit. So
it's going to be pretty reliant on a lot of TOs like involving the minor regions, and I just don't see that happening unless it's like hosted in those regions. Like it's going to come down to like Asia TOs, but actually inviting Asia teams and stuff like that. You know,
I don't think that they are going to do that because, like, again, like I'm saying, look at IEM Spring. If that turns out to be IEM Australia,
yeah,
it's got two invite slots for Asia. And that could be Mongolz and, like, you know, fucking Drillas, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the way things are going right now. Like, if Drillas takes second seed, or they play Mongolz, so they won't. But like, Mongolz and who's FlyQuest playing second? Like, who's FlyQuest playing?
Rare Adam probably.
Okay,
right?
so let's say Rare Adam beats FlyQuest. FlyQuest doesn't qual for that major. Mongolz, Rare Adam get invited, for example. be the situation probably. Like, it's just anyway. I know a lot of people probably don't give a shit about it because it's like, yeah, we're getting the best 24 teams in the world to Cologne or whatever. It's like, fair enough. That's cool for those teams, but
yeah,
for the
well,
scene
it's
itself, I don't
gonna
think
end up in like minor region squeeze is what it's gonna end up in. It's gonna be like less competitive for the minor regions, and it's gonna slowly kill. Maybe it won't kill Asia. Maybe Asia will be okay, but then again, that'll be like China and Mongolia, right? But it'll definitely kill Oceania if it's that kind of system. Like, it'll slowly squeeze OS until
Also,
if
the scene
if
is
we
dying.
didn't have Mongolz at the place they are right now, right? Like, a top 10 team, borderline top 10 team in the world and everything. Imagine a world in which the Mongols didn't exist, but we just had the same old teams like, your Tylers and Rare Atoms and everyone else out here. We wouldn't even be talking about, like, you just said right there, Jordan, like, it probably wouldn't affect Asia as much as OS and maybe some other more far-flung regions. If Mongols didn't exist, it absolutely would still affect Asia as well, right? They're the one team who've actually managed to guarantee at least an Asian team over there will come the new system.
which makes it possible for other Asian teams, maybe in some roundabouts kind of way, that if they do at some point
Play them.
inevitably beat Mongols in a domestic competition, but
Yes.
that disincentivizes Mongols from playing domestically, obviously. Like, it's like, should they really go and play Extremes Land in case what happens if they lose against Tyloo? And they lose a lot of points and Tyloo gets
I don't think they even
points.
have time to play, man, even if they want to right now.
They're invited to. They're invited. Like, they're on right now. In theory, they're going. It's January. Like, it's early January. There's not much going on.
Okay, fine. It's like an opening, tournament.
But should they, from a theoretical standpoint, actually go and play that event? Like, is it in their best interest? Like, if they win, sure, but like, if they don't win, it's like,
I think you can't afford to have that mentality if you want to be like, a top team, not just in Asia but around. I think they should just go in there, win the entire fucking thing, and then head into Kato or Blast, whichever it is coming up next after that. So I think they should 100% go and play. I don't think they can afford to have that, oh god, what if you lose to Tyloo mentality. You can't have that.
all right. Well, the other thing I want to bring up there then as well is even regardless of all of this, whatever, looking at some of the forward-thinking IEM slots allocations as well. So we do go from invites from spring. Spring is only invites. When you get to Dallas, there's qualifiers. The next problem I have is there is one slot for Asia.
Yeah.
So then it's
what
like,
I was going to say as well.
Oceania, Asia now as well, which it has been according to the Valve system. We call it obviously Asia Pacific if you want to make it a bit more like easy on the terminology side of things.
Yeah.
What's the plan there? Like, is Oceanic teams now going to have to fly to Asia to play in these qualifiers to potentially manage to make these kinds of IEM events when the qualifier slots are there? Or are they going to play from ANZ and people are going to have to fucking veto servers like back in the old days, and that's going to be a whole shit show? Teams going over to WA. What is going to happen with all of that? Like, that, again, seems like problem for Oceania.
It's a huge problem for Oceania. Like, it's going to squeeze and kill the scene if it's like that, because we've already been fucking here for like more than 10 years. Like, we already know how this works. Like, the OS is a separated region. We see it in Valorant right now. Like, OS does not compete in anything. The Asia teams all compete in the Asia events and the Asia off-season events and the Asia League, and OS does not have a place in that unless they play through a convoluted system. And that's a franchise system. Here in theoretically an open system, if these spots are for Asia, it's going to further incentivize Asia teams, Asia the whole time. And it's not going to be any spots for Oceania unless someone goes out on a limb. But even then, like, that's going to be really fucking difficult. Like, I don't think you're going to have...
I mean, especially when you're competing with the Mongols for that slot, potentially. Although they will theoretically get invited via world rankings.
Yeah, you'll be competing with, like, Tyloo, yeah, like Atox, that kind of stuff. So, like, yeah, I don't know, bro. But
if I'm a FlyQuest, like, FlyQuest might get a world ranking invite to some. They're inside top 30, I imagine. I haven't actually looked. But let's say in this world where Art of War, like, does Art of War go and say, yeah, we're going to fly ourselves to Singapore, play this Dallas qual, and then they verse fucking Tyloo in the first round of the bracket? Like, come on, bro. Like,
it's not going to happen. They won't do it.
Talon might.
Well, Talon, if Talon sticks around, Talon could actually be very important, because organizationally, like, they've got the Malta boot camp and they're setting them up in Europe at the moment. But like, if Talon as an org might be the perfect org to be involved in CS in this new system next year, because they could actually have an Australian team if they want an Australian team playing in Asia, like theoretically, and that could be like an in that way. But like, outside of that specific connection and that specific scenario, yeah, OS is going to get fucked.
Where's Talon based? They are actually setting up their base of operations in Malta, but where as an organization? Are they Singapore?
They're an Asia-based organization, aren't they? Hong Kong? I'm pretty sure they're Hong Kong, aren't they? I don't remember exactly, but they have
Food point,
like
really.
they play a lot of different games. Like they have Asian teams in a lot of different games.
All right. No further commentary from me. I'm ready to wrap it up. Had my little UQ moment.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna say that, put it out there. I'm gonna obviously be flying out for the Americas RMR and EU RMR come this weekend. Actually, I just want to say I think it kind of fucking sucks that two of you aren't working the Asian RMR. I know it's happening online, and of course, I'm not throwing any shade whatsoever at people who have been hired by Perfect World to do the Asian RMR, right? Like doing online and everything. But it just feels like, again, this is a Perfect World decision coming in, right? And I respect it. That's your call to make the tournament. But then you have the Americas being covered, right? Like full-fledged by an English broadcast. And then you have EU, obviously. Then you have the Asian one where you have, according to Valve rankings, you have a top 5 team and you have top 50, so top 21, I think, top 23. I think one of those is FlyQuest right now. And it just being kind of sidelined as an online thing, I think, is a disservice to the scene. It's being treated as an afterthought, which I find it very surprising because in its Perfect World doing it, they're based out of, they're Chinese OTO as well. And I just feel like I really wish that you guys where you guys, along with the people who are working Asian RMR, we're doing it, considering how much you guys do actually follow the scene as well. And I think that kind of sucks. And I think you cunts should be hired for this.
Well, I appreciate it, but
hire them, you cunts.
Unfortunately, Bleh, you're not the one that does the hiring, so that's fair enough.
I know, but I just want to put it out there, yeah, fuck it, putting it out there.
It is what it is. It is what it is. You can't win them all. But yeah, look. We'll probably do another episode after the RMRs. Asia is first, I think. So, yes. Blair, you're going to be overseas. I don't know. Maybe we'll do one without you, or we'll wait for you to come back.
I could actually. Yeah, we could talk about this later on. But yeah, I think I should be able to jump in. I'm going to be there for a while. I'll have like at least a decent
time
setup
off,
and
right?
everything.
Like days off.
Even if it's not days off, like because it's going to be starting super early, I think I might be able to. And I have like early shifts at least for during the Americas and stuff. So I should be able to jump on in for a quick recap of the Asian RMR. I should also have like a decent. I can borrow a mic, or I can just get one of my mics and take it as well for a recording.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Otherwise, yeah, next episode is going to be the post RMR episode, and then we've got the major to look forward to, which is again pretty cool. I think that'll be quite an interesting discussion depending on who ends up actually qualifying. So
yeah, speaking of Mongolz making the playoffs, that's going to be such a great fucking episode, guy. Episode 69, by the way.
Episode 69.
Episode 69. Yeah,
true.
A nice episode.
Yep. All right, let's wrap it up there, guys. Let's look forward to the next one. All right, thanks. Like, comment, subscribe, do the things. buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy. I didn't get to work the Asia RMR, neither did Pilski. We'd like your money. That would be fantastic. It would make me cry a little bit less, but hey, at least I would be crying into money instead of nothing. So, hey, check that one out. Appreciate you guys. See you next time. Hey guys, just at the end of this video, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Jean, who is my first supporter on buymeacoffee.com. If you'd also like to support me financially or any of my content, make sure to check out the link. It is in the description box below.